Well, there's absolutely no sketch this time, so... Welcome to the podcast where we take something old, a Doctor Who story from the original series, compare it with something new, one from the new series, and add something borrowed to make something Who. Can that be right? Maybe it is. Hello, I'm Richard, and we're back with Something Who podcast episode 123, where this time we're looking at 6th Doctor
Dusty
story
bin.
Timelash. What's that?
Not yet. Dusty bin. Little way to go before.
6th Doctor story Timelash from season 22. Back in 1985, and then 9th Doctor tale The Unquiet Dead from Series 1 in 2005. And with me to decide whether watching them was aghast or just left us aghast, I have what's recently become our usual panel. So first we have the acclaimed Big Finish writer and noted amateur thespian, it's Paul.
Oh, hello, sorry. Yes, you do have me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, great.
I'm sure you greatly enjoyed the story choice this time.
No. No.
Well, I know that noted science and astronomy writer and explainer of all things scientific on the podcast, Giles, was particularly enthusiastic because he said so on Blue Sky.
Yes. Yeah. Large bottle of whiskey helped me get through it. Yes, hello.
Yes. And finally, 3D artist, writer, researcher, podcaster, telestab animator, and co-creator of Dalek 63 to 88, Gav, it's all your fault.
Hello, may I say, what a tremendous
well done,
selection, and what a clever idea for two
It is a clever
stories
idea,
that
and
match beautifully.
Yeah. I was going to say it almost makes up for having to watch Timelash, the quality of the link, and that we can that one of us can still come up with something as pure as this, as a link, this late, episode 321, I believe it was. Yeah. So well done.
Thank you.
But also, how dare you?
Wow.
I guess we had to go there eventually. By the way, if you are hoping for my lukewarm take on the war between the land and the sea, I haven't watched it. I'm afraid I was busy pre-Christmas, and then I said to my daughter, "Tell you what, we'll brighten up Christmas by watching it together," and she was even less enthusiastic than I was. So that's that.
I'm planning a big YouTube video about Silurians and Sea Devils because I've got a big problem. I've got a big problem on my hands because I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to say that in the new one they've got gills. I've got a big problem with this because Sea Devil. Sea Devil. No, you've deliberately misunderstood for comic effect.
I'll be the judge
Sea
of
Devils Sea Devils have nostrils, which tells you that they're air breathing and therefore descended from land-based reptiles. So sea devils are the equivalent in the sea of dolphins and whales. So they are air breathing creatures, so they got no business having gills. And I think we need to have a big chat about it.
Also,
it's like giving Silurians tits.
Also, they've got a very breathy speech, which counts against the gills as well.
Well, I haven't seen it either, and I'm now looking forward to it even more.
Wow.
Wow.
Well,
Yes. I've watched 2 episodes of it so far, and then slightly gone to halt as well.
I'm looking forward to more Colonel Ibrahim. He's my favourite New Who character of the entire.
Gav's mate, isn't it?
You got some surprises in store.
Maybe I have.
I met him.
And the Blinks. Sphinx.
The Sphinx is sadly absent.
The Sphinx is that stone
the
riddle
Splink.
thing. The Splinks.
Vlinks.
Splink was John Pertwee doing a funny
yes.
voice. Well, that doesn't narrow it down very much.
Yes.
What am I talking about?
The Vlinks.
Okay. Yeah.
What were you going to say, Richard?
The Vlinks effect.
No, I was just recalling that that Ibrahim was your mate. So
yes, I'm going to mention that whenever and wherever I can. I tell you who else is my mate, and that's Eve Miles, and she'll come up at some point this evening.
Ah, how nice.
Splendid. Well, I tell you what, let's dive in and start talking about Timelash, written by Glenn McCoy, the less well-known of the McCoy brothers, and directed by Pennant Roberts.
The Sunmakers, The Pirate Planet, Sharda, Warriors of the Deep. Gosh.
Which was broadcast on the 9th and the 16th of March. Let me take you back to 1985. The hiatus has already been announced, and in between these two episodes, on Friday the 15th of March, the great single Doctor in Distress was released. So this is
blimey.
There's three great entries into the Doctor Who canon within 8 days of each other.
Wow.
These two episodes and that.
Yeah. Wow.
Did anyone buy Doctor in Distress?
I'm going to raise you Doctor in Distress and say I've got somewhere in the loft the 12-inch vinyl.
Ooh. Blimey.
Is that now a collector's item?
I don't think so. Because it's even worse than the original. It's got every bit of the original in it, but it's twice as long
and more.
Yes,
right.
And I'm afraid in this instance, more is less, or worse anyway.
Wow. Didn't Ian Levine produce an orchestral remix recently, and put it on his channel? I mean,
oh my god!
I think I saw it, but I didn't click on it. What a fool!
I don't know. I was swept up in the moment, thinking that this was a great protest song that would definitely deliver results for bringing the series back, but sadly, it wasn't.
Time has made fools of us all. So what was your actual reaction at the time? Do you remember?
I do remember my reaction at the time. I was watching part 1, and I thought, actually, this is quite good.
Sorry, I meant of Doctor in Distress.
Oh, Doctor in Distress? No, I just thought it was... well, I don't know. I mean, it was all right, but I wasn't a particular pop music aficionado at that point.
Ah, that will explain it.
So, yeah, did it sound that much different from Do They Know It's Christmas? Obviously, time has told that one is sort of, fondly remembered and the other one not so much. Also, I knew some of the people that were gathered together, but it has to be said it was a less than entirely starry lineup. 2 excellent musicians from Matt Bianco, but perhaps not all that well known to the populace in general.
Matt Bianco. Yeah, I once phoned up Sally Superstore so I could speak to them. It was...
All right.
It went really well.
Did you get out of
Sarah Green doesn't
Did you get out of your lazy bed to do that?
Yeah, yeah. So up on the history of swears on children's
TV.
I got an entire full-page article out of that for Sad magazine, my short-lived fanzine. Yeah. It was quite wholesome, that one. Matt Bianco, why are you such a pair of wankers? I think was what they said. Which wasn't quite as rude as the 5-star one.
Yeah, the 5-star one I saw live, and I ran upstairs and told my mum and said, "Sorry, Mum, I'm going to have to swear, but this is too good not to tell you."
The Richard doesn't know, so you might have to swear for the 3rd time in your life.
Not on this podcast.
He'll bleep it. He'll put an amusing kazoo noise or, Jaws.
I'll put you doing rhubarb and custard.
Well, as memory serves, the caller asked the quite valid question.
Have you got anything to ask, 5-star
yes.
caller?
Why are you so fucking...
Oh, I'm laughing again. That was my level.
I must say, though, Sad Magazine is a brilliant name for a fanzine. Well done.
Oh, thank you. Yes, if only the contents.
That's really good. Yeah.
But
I really like that. Have you got an issue I could buy?
I've got quite a lot in the attic, but they're never going to come down. I'm waiting. I'm hoping mice will eat them, but they haven't yet. It was very poor. Oh, never mind. That's a story for another day.
It can't be worse than my fanzine, which I wrote basically all the night before because I didn't think anyone would actually, show any interest. So I just put an advert in the magazine saying I was doing a fanzine, and then like 3 people sent me £3.50 or whatever it was. And I was like, oh no, I better actually.
When you said the night before, I thought you meant like to distribute at the tavern, because that was famously the one most.
No,
well, in my era anyway, most fanzines are written.
I don't know what magazine I advertised it in, but yeah, some stamped addressed. No, I don't know what. I think some checks arrived in the post for £3.50, and I had to write some articles, and I didn't really know anything, so I just regurgitated some fairly basic wisdom.
That's when everyone else did,
old
wasn't
enough
it?
to know better.
27 I was.
Well, not 18, I guess.
Oh right, no, you should have known.
Yeah, I should have known better. Yeah, I got all my information about Paul Jenkins. No, not about Paul Jenkins. From Paul Jenkins.
Oh, this is going well.
Yes.
Oh, it's my fault for turning up.
Shall we start again?
You've already... Yeah. Richard.
Take 2.
Richard.
Hello.
I've got a
Thank
question
you for having me.
A caller on line 1. Richard, what did you think when you first saw Timelash?
Oh dear, chronic hysteresis. Yeah, well, I thought I quite enjoyed episode 1 of Timelash.
Oh, wow, that's a high praise in this era, because that's a full half of it.
Yeah. And then I absolutely hated episode 2.
Interesting.
Right.
What was the difference?
Well, I don't know. I think the thing about episode 1 is
it's all set
you
up.
You haven't yet got the sense that the story's all over the place. I mean, it's certainly coming apart fairly quickly, but nonetheless, there's quite a nice android. There's some interesting characters, and then it's probably about halfway through episode 1 that the wheels start to come off. But it was I don't know. I felt like there was promise. But in episode 2...
That's the point at which the Doctor and Perry arrive on the bloody planet and join the plot.
Oh, yeah, they were pretty useless, weren't they? Yeah.
I was going to save that observation for later on, but I mean, if you're saying that's when it went downhill, then I think you've revealed more about your tastes than you meant to.
Can I...
At the corner of my eye, I'm watching the end of part 2, which I didn't... sound down, Don't worry, I'm concentrating on the podcast. It looks good when you can't hear the dialogue.
I mean, at least I was late because I was watching the end of The Unquiet Dead. You were late and haven't even watched anything.
No, we were watching The Night Manager. It was much better.
Yeah.
And before that, I went to B&Q.
Do you know that's
it's been a
Block
busy
and
day.
Quail? That's what B&Q stands for.
Yeah,
it's good. It's a good fact. That.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
And they own DIY.com. Imagine how early they must have been in the internet boom to get that. Nowadays, they'd have to set up a block. It was surprised they didn't go for Block and Quail, because back in the early days, the internet people didn't know what the hell they were doing, did they?
I thought you were going to say block
And they
transfer
would-
computation.
Oh, lovely stuff.
Yeah. So
Did you know it's only ever appeared in one other Doctor Who story other than Logopolis, and it's what's it called? It's a Big Finish. It's a Tom Baker one. It's got Byron's daughter, the
Ada Lovelace.
Ada Lovelace. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, it's got block transfer computation in it. Used
Makes sense.
Used very well.
Her being a
yeah.
mathematician.
So,
The Enchanters at numbers? No.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Sounds great. What are you
I
talking about?
am going to say that I paid attention to the plot of Timelash today,
yes.
and
Well done.
I'm going to argue that it has a plot and it makes sense.
Which of the plots are you referring to?
Well, I don't think I've ever tried to keep tabs on all of the various strands, so I was quite surprised that having tried to get a handle on it, that they do all actually seem to make sense and in some way come together at the end.
I've got to be honest. That's kind of a bare minimum expectation. Does it actually pay? Does it actually pay off your effort in concentrating?
Not really, no.
On
No.
Okay. So you're saying it's not quite as... You're defending its reputation.
Well,
against-
I just don't think it had occurred to me that there was a plot before. It was just a sort of extraordinarily ill-judged
Wall of bad decisions.
choice. Yeah, exactly. And I sort of thought it just kind of bamboozled from one bit to the next, and then I actually thought about how all of the different bits connected, because I started making a list of all the things that I thought weren't going to go anywhere, and they do all sort of get at least acknowledged and some resolved. I'm not saying they're good choices, but they are at least rationalised away, which, as you say, Paul, is a bare minimum. But I think there's a sense that it's awful and it doesn't make sense. I think that's only half true.
I think it might have too many ideas thrown in there. Some people have said you can never have too many ideas, but he was wrong. If somebody ever said that to me.
Do you know?
But I watched 3/4 of it with the sound up, and which is all of the bit that Richard liked, and I didn't like that bit. So if it gets worse after that, then I think my biggest problem. I mean, I really, really, really didn't like it. I hated it this time. Back in the day, I had a bit of affection for it. I forget why. I got rather put off by the tone of season 22, the grimness, the violence, basically, the nastiness, I guess, not just squeamishness, but it was just, I just found it rather off-putting, and in a weird kind of way, I thought Mark and the Rani and Timelash, to my delicate soul at that age, were the two that seemed more like who I could watch without squirming in my seat too much.
Well, yes. So I would always much rather watch something that's bad or supposedly bad than something that's boring. And I have seen Timelash many more times than I have seen some Doctor Who's that are considerably higher on the list. And I am very happy to watch it again today. I find, like a lot of Doctor Who's that are not well liked, it's just fascinating to see the decisions that were made, misguided though they might be. And Timelash is never boring. It's all over the place. And it, as you say, Paul, it is trying to be funny, and it almost never succeeds. But at least it's trying.
Well, I made a note of the first time that a deliberately funny thing happens. It's 35 minutes in when we first meet H.G. Wells. If you're saying that any of the stuff with the Doctor and Perry in the TARDIS is supposed to be funny,
that's supposed to be charming and hilarious.
Well, do you think whoever wrote those scenes thought that it was charming and hilarious? Do you think it could have been if hadn't been acted, if both the actors hadn't chosen to hit it the way they did?
No, because it's written without any wit.
I mean, that can't be Glenn McCoy, can it?
No, isn't it all Saywood's padding?
I think
the time.
Well, I don't know. I think the first scene definitely, because there is a massive. Well, I think I felt like the first scene, which is just arguing about nothing, which is reminiscent of other scenes that we know he added, like the bit in Kinder. When given 3 minutes to spare and told, just fill it, we've only got 2 actors in a set, fill this. I mean, a proper writer would do something character-based. If there's no more plot if there's nothing else you can add that forwards the plot, then just write something funny, or write something that reveals something about the characters, or write something that presages what we're going to see, or all three preferably. But he always defaults to arguing.
Yeah, I think he thinks that all of the stuff about you're always going on about the Eye of Orion, I think he thinks that's funny banter.
Yeah,
but A, it's not, and B, the actors play it like they hate each other.
I mean, according to production notes and Shannon Sullivan stuff, which will probably draw on the complete history and related things. So this is supposed to be like, probably this is stuff that Saywood was rewriting off the back of Pennant Roberts' comments when he saw the script. And allegedly, according to this, Saywood is supposed to have softened their dialogue and toned it down.
Oh, they were punching each other in the face in the first draft.
Well, presumably, God knows.
Wow.
It's
So,
It's
do we know?
remarkable.
I know that there's definitely a scene that was written so late that it was actually recorded on the set of Revelation, right? Because by then they knew the episodes. And but isn't that towards the in part 2 with
it's
Herbert,
the
'cause they had to get him back again.
It's probably the stuff you've just been watching with it's the 6-minute long TARDIS scene or whatever that's on. So so from my understanding
It's
of
two
it,
bleeps, Richard.
Well,
so my understanding of it
you
is
have to do that. You see, when you go from 25 minutes to 45 minutes, you can't just write 2 episodes of the same pace and
well, the problem
and you have to slow everything down. Every scene has to be 3 times longer. Saywood knew this. How I don't know.
Well, the problem, as I understand it, is basically I wonder how much of this really comes down to a JNT edict that came through pretty late by all accounts that basically said, well, we have to end on a cliffhanger with the Doctor. That the original cliffhanger of episode 1 into episode 2 was going to be, I think, Perry and the Morlocks, but it was going to be a moment of danger for Perry.
Oh.
And JNT said, no, we've got to end on... And this was while the Doctor was off collecting H.G. Wells and faffing around in Victorian Scotland. And so the Doctor wasn't in peril at that time. And JNT said, no, we've got to have the Doctor in peril. That's the edict. That's what's the cliffhanger. And
With
as
the
a
big
result...
crash zoom on his face.
Yeah, exactly. And as a result, they basically had to shunt about 10 minutes of stuff, I think. And it went on for ages. After I saw this note, I was thinking, well, when are they going to get to the point? Because they had to get all the way back to Carvel and then have the...
That's exactly how I felt watching it. That the cliffhanger should have been 10 minutes earlier.
Yeah, and so they crunched everything in episode 1 and then had to massively pad episode 2 in order to do this. I mean, it was done during writing. It's not a decision.
So that explains why it gets boring just before the climax.
Production. Yeah.
Because they're having to have a chat in the TARDIS.
They are just desperately padding. Yeah. Okay.
So you don't know which scenes specifically were recorded. Was it just the one that they recorded at the time of...
I think that's the most egregious example. That's the prime example that basically I guess they did rewrites in pre-production because I mean this whole damn thing took about a year or so to get through multiple drafts.
Well,
to get even to the stage of going.
It shines.
Yeah.
You don't get that sort of stuff just by churning out a first draft like Russell T Davies.
And then at that point they recorded it all, obviously, and then they found they were still massively short on episode 2, so they then had to write this extra padding.
I'll defer to your wisdom, but because you do the research. But it did feel to me like the first TARDIS scene. There was quite a distinct change in tone from there to the second one. So the first one's about nothing, and then the second one immediately starts with them being drawn into a tunnel, I think. And Perry says, "Didn't the Daleks have one?" Which
why does she know that? But
why does she know that? Why does she say that? But she also knows Joe Grant, so she's clearly been reading the program guide.
Yes.
It's all part of this thing to mine nostalgia, isn't it?
Well, the other bizarre thing is that Glenn McCoy allegedly, his first pitch for this thing did involve the Daleks.
Apparently so.
Yeah, he went to them like some bloody amateur,
and they should have,
and said, "Here's a Doctor Who script with Daleks in. Here's my Doctor Who idea."
I thought they turned away people like that.
Well, you'd think so, yeah.
Was he wearing a scarf when he turned up with that script?
You do wonder.
No, how old was he?
He was in his late 20s, apparently. He was born in 1954, according to the internet.
I remember him looking outrageously young on the DVD.
He does, yes, yeah.
And did he have much of a TV CV at this point?
No.
I think he'd written a couple of episodes of Doctors or something like that. He was
later on, he was a writer of soaps.
Well,
but
Angels.
I think at this point,
Angels,
he hadn't written much.
Okay.
Sorry, not Doctors. Doctors came later. Angels.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember Saywood a long time ago having been asked by fans, why on earth did you use that script? You must have had something better. And saying no, there wasn't. There wasn't. You don't understand. You don't understand. Oh no, that's J&T. Well, they're the same. I'll use the same impression for both.
Yeah.
You don't understand. Nobody could write Who. At least this one was finished and it made sense. My friend Gavin told me that all the plot strands do eventually tie up.
That's true.
So it's workable.
Yeah.
And he said it was the best they had. But then, fast forward 30 years, and Big Finish uncover a seemingly endless mine of rejected scripts in this era, 22 and 23. I mean, there seem to have been dozens that were far more imaginative and just generally...
How much is actually from 22, though?
Well, no...
And there's so much that actually gets piled into 23, doesn't it?
I felt like it's about half and half. I mean, I do wonder how they found so many that had never been heard of before, but, I mean, I guess they all got to different stages of development, but yes, it does seem like they had alternatives. So, was this the one where you said they'd paid for it and they were running out of money, so they had to use
I think that was part of the thing.
I mean, yeah. Anyway, but it's
that explains why they had no money left for the sets.
And it reminds me of some things I've been stuck on, where apparently they sort of paid Glenn McCoy. They kept him waiting, and they eventually paid him his fee, but on the condition that he'd still carry on rewriting the bloody thing to their demands.
What was happening in these drafts? Oh my God, I'm almost... Gav, is there another documentary in this?
I would love to know what Glenn McCoy's first draft was like.
I mean,
not the Dalek one.
It seems to have been pared down to just very cheap, lots of corridors. But on the other hand, it could be that a novice Doctor Who writer thinks like that and just writes a planet with corridors, because if you've ever watched any science fiction, you get the impression that you can't do anything else.
Yeah.
I think all the money went on the Timelash set, because that is a thing of beauty. It must have cost millions. I mean, it's so... It must be at least 15 feet wide, same high. And all that tinsel doesn't come cheap, out of season.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real mixture, isn't it? Because you've got the guards who look like beekeepers; they're quite good. You've got the colourful android; that's not bad. And then you've got, I mean,
you've got the Boraz. Boraz a good design.
Yeah, but the Timelash. I mean, what is it? I guess so. It's a time corridor.
Yeah,
right?
But it's a physical place where crystals grow as well.
Yeah.
It's very odd.
Is that something that the Borad built? That sort of that space with the crystals in it, or is that just what a time corridor looks like?
Well, exactly. Do they explain that? I mean, does as you say, does the corridor look like that all the way through?
Yeah, all the way to Scotland.
I mean, it can't do. That's nonsense. So, I don't know what.
So that's interesting.
The whole thing about the whole idea of the Timelash and its use in the story is baffling to me, considering that that's what it's all about.
Well, because
the fact that it's supposed to be the most hideous threat on this planet, worse than death. People die in 100 different horrible ways. No, they don't. In several different horrible ways, but they all think the Timelash is worse. You all wish you had died here.
You're going back to Scotland.
Yeah. I mean, what? Does nobody on the planet know what happens if you go into it, because nobody's ever come back? So they're just assuming it's horrible.
Yeah, maybe.
I think, but doesn't Mina only Vina, whatever her name is, only...
Oh, because the
doesn't she only survive because she's got the amulet thing or whatever?
What would have happened to her then?
I don't know. I presume people do get sort of dissolved by the...
Well, no, because the Doctor seems quite confident that the Borad is going to end up as the Loch Ness Monster, so he's going to arrive safely.
He's got no...
Yeah, so basically,
with a bottle of scotch.
1179, right? So 1179 is
500 years after the first sighting
is during the reign of Henry II, although obviously he's a king of England rather than Scotland. But I mean, there must be hundreds of Carfolans wandering around the Middle Age,
swimming around Loch Ness.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
And then maybe they all get eaten by the Scarson.
Well, I mean, hopefully.
The moment they turn up.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like, as you know, stories that try to explain away some historical anomaly or mystery they just get on my tits. But this one, and they're mostly, I don't like the idea of it. They're mostly quite badly done, but this takes the cake. We all know what size the Loch Ness Monster would have to be. Did Glenn McCoy think that the Borad was going to be 60 feet long or something?
And not speak.
Yeah.
And not come out of the water going, hello, help me.
Have gills rather than nostrils.
Yeah, oh God.
Maybe he's stretched by the time lash.
So,
go on,
Giles. We rushed straight into it without letting you have your sort of overview. Have we deprived the listeners of any gems?
Not really.
Okay,
I
right.
don't know. I know.
I'll carry on then.
Yeah, I do take Gav's point thinking about it, that I was surprised by, apart from the really egregious, like I'll explain later, bit at the end of how the Doctor got out of his scrape with the missile. Everything else, I can think of a lot of stories that are a lot more highly regarded that actually have plots that are less watertight than this.
Watertight.
I would agree. I think, but well, yeah, just that hooked up. There's things that have that we like that leave a lot of loose ends.
I mean, to me, it's watertight in the sense that it feels like a 6-year-old playing with toys and narrating a story to his 4-year-old sister, but an intelligent 6-year-old who doesn't leave any dangling plot threads. That's what it feels like to me. Some of the dialogue is very childish and on the nose expository.
That's one of my big notes is that it reminds me of the George Lucas style of writing that was always criticised in interview. It's also mock Shakespearean style of writing for alien cultures. But yeah, the exposition. There was one. I just wrote down one example out of millions where she says, "I trust you." Instead of giving an example of the Doctor earning her trust, she just says, "Yes, I trust you," and I think that's just a typical of the entire story.
Yeah. 90%.
That's another savoured thing, though, because apparently Pennant Roberts also. Apparently, the draft that Pennant Roberts got had quite colloquial language being spoken by the aliens.
It sounded like something a person would say. And you can't.
Yes,
you couldn't have that.
Pennant Roberts said aliens don't talk like that.
Oh, Christ. So
aliens can't use contractions and.
There I was feeling sorry for him, but it seems he's yes.
I was going to say, so Paul Darrow is quite justified then.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking to me. Yes, well, he is, isn't he? I mean, you talk about the Shakespearean, the mock cod Shakespearean dialogue, but he's the only one who plays it Shakespeare. I mean, it's been talked up a bit, this Rich third thing, but for God's sake, is anyone doing it right? Because you can't. All the things people some of the things that people moan about most about this story are actually the best bits or the least offensive bits. I don't know if do fans moan about Paul Darrow. Was it just John Nathan Turner and everybody on set?
I think people kind of mention it, but I agree with you. I thought Paul Darrow wasn't particularly over the top with his Shakespearean stuff. It was there, but it was reasonably muted. But also I thought, if anything, Colin Baker's worse. I mean, he's at sort of 290%. Most of the time, whereas Paul Darrow is only sort of 150%. And then when at the end, the Borad is even more fruity than any of them. So I don't know. It feels like Paul Darrow's just fitting in with everybody else, but doing it better.
You can tell that. I think Colin Baker's thinking that if he completely undercuts the fruitiness and everything else, that it will be such jarring counterpoint that it'll somehow make him look better. And there's one particular bit where he's talking to the Borad. Oh no, he's talking to Paul Darrow. In front of the Borad, and he gives a big speech. And Colin Baker just sort of pulls a face and then says his next line really quietly, as if to try and humiliate him, I guess. And it just doesn't work because it just comes across like he can't be bothered.
Yeah. If this dialogue is in any way reminiscent of George Lucas, I think the point about George Lucas dialogue is you give it to Hollywood film actors, or more to the point, 70s Hollywood film actors like Harrison Ford, who play it in that style of acting that only works on screen, that deadpan naturalism, and then it sells it. You can't. We've also seen Mark Hamill histrionically recounting some of his worst lines, but in the film, in the finished film, they get away with it because all these so many of these lines that our heads are full of are rubbish if you stop and think about them or look at them in black and white. But here you see you've got bad dialogue delivered by
it's more like the Phantom Menace.
C-list BBC rep actors who, posh people who give the same performance whether they're in Noel Coward or Glenn McCoy, whether they're in a Victorian drawing room or on Carrefour or anywhere.
I mean that's the other problem, isn't it? That Herbert George Wells is a working class boy from Kent, but he's played as if he's Bertie Wooster, and that feels particularly jarring, given that he's played as if he's a bloke called Herbert, not the actual person.
Yes. Well, is this a good time to talk about Herbert?
Please do. I'll go and make a cup of tea. No, it's only because I don't know anything about H.G. Wells.
Well, no, I don't know much either, but I know enough. But even if we don't, let's even coming to this with no knowledge, whoever that character turned out to be, there's no justification for writing him as an irritant all the way through the story, and there's even less when the big twist is that it's this giant of literature. But Wells is characterized as a genius of foresight and social issues and technology, and he foresaw all of these incredible possibilities, and he was keen on utopian values. But he was visionary in terms of the type of story that he wrote. He didn't write the first time travel story, but I think he kind of created the vehicular time machine story. And War of the Worlds. It's like we were talking about Mary Shelley and Frankenstein, although it's not quite so uncomfortable because it was worse with her, because she was a woman writing at a time where women struggled to assert themselves in any way. But it's still a very sad thing to do, to take the genius of H.G. Wells and say, well, he just got all of his ideas from one afternoon travelling with Doctor Who, and that gave him the Invisible Man and the Time Machine and the Morlocks and War of the Worlds, Dr. Moreau, and he was basically a plagiarist that needed this injection of thought to then go off and write all his most popular stuff. So what it should have been, I mean, potentially the Shakespeare Code might have been a better matchup for this in that respect, but the Shakespeare Code, Shakespeare is written as a genius in the Shakespeare Code, and H.G. Wells, maybe not Shakespeare, but has demands a level of respect that this script does not offer him. He has no dignity, he has no presence, he has no ingenuity. He's just as you say, a buffoon, a Bertie Wooster.
Just to be controversial, I agree with you absolutely, and that was one of the things that stuck in my throat. The fact it just says all of his ideas come from this, basically we'll write everything into it. But if that character wasn't H.G. Wells, I kind of personally thought he was sort of the best thing in it, just because he kind of punctures and, because he kind of blunders around. And there's a certain fun sort of Harry Sullivan is an imbecile kind of thing to that side of it, which I got some... Most of the enjoyment I got out of watching this was actually from that aspect of it. But I agree, that's just not H.G. Wells, and it's not how H.G. Wells should be treated.
He's a blessed relief when he first shows up, but I mean the novelty wore off very soon. And if he had been any half as funny as Bertie Wooster, then I'd have forgiven it all. What I just wonder is, why did anyone choose to write a story about H.G. Wells, and what were they intending to do with it, having thought of that? And it feels to me like it was all about the... No, it can't be. No, it can't be from the Loch Ness twist backwards. That's too stupid.
No, I think it's all H.G. Wells back. The whole story is built in service of the idea of giving H.G. Wells all of his inspiration. So for that reason,
was Glenn McCoy a science fiction fan? Because that strikes me as the sort of thing a non-science fiction person being asked to write for Doctor Who would do. They would scrape around trying to think, well, what is science fiction? Oh, it's that Wells fellow. He wrote, and then they'd come up with something like this. It happened a lot in the 60s.
And that's it. The other really, really weird thing about this that I was looking at and also they mention there's a bit of it comes through in the character that we get, and then the production notes mentioned that there was stuff that was cut that is all to do with him like crossing himself and like genuflecting all over the place and making, and basically, so this has him set up as a Catholic who's mucking around with Ouija boards and things like that and interested in spiritualism, and Wells was a nonconformist with no time for any of that nonsense at all. And I was thinking, have they just mixed him up with Arthur Conan Doyle?
I had exactly that thought. That thought.
Yeah.
It's just I'm thinking of someone just got the two mixed up and
but I think because also because Conan Doyle, he was quite scientific early on, but he got more spiritual later in life, didn't he?
Yes, yeah. But he was also a lapsed Catholic and with a Catholic background.
I mean, he was born, he's Scottish. And I know H.G. Wells isn't played as Scottish, but I don't know why he's at Loch Ness otherwise.
No, I could find no evidence for him having been in that part of the world. I mean, he
could have been Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley lived near Loch Ness.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Apparently Wells was had reason maybe to be in the lowlands of Scotland, but didn't, as far as I could see, visit the Highlands. I don't know.
They are. That confirms my far-fetched thesis that it is all about the Loch Ness Monster gag at the end. Everything in the entire story works backwards from there. If I can't have the Daleks, I want a long. I think Jabba the Hutt, but better. I'll get Deep Roy in the tail.
Just on the subject of all of the elements, while we're still on H.G. Wells himself. So obviously we've got invisibility from the Invisible Man. The hybrids of Dr. Moreau, time travel, Morlocks. He first talks about radio communication between worlds in the first Men in the Moon. So I don't know whether it's that reason for being that literal, but the chat with the Bandrils on the screen, he talks about nuclear war. He basically he doesn't invent the nuclear, but he talks about a uncontrollable chain reaction explosion, interplanetary war. But the point is that his literary philosophy was to take a single science fiction idea and explore it. And there's a thing called Wells's law, which is that a science fiction story should only contain one single extraordinary assumption and the rest of the story be built around it.
Right.
How ironic.
Yeah.
Do you think anybody involved, and I know it's just a bit of fun, but do you think anybody involved realised that they were implying that H.G. Wells was a hack and had no... Because I feel like they can't have spotted that. They were too busy thinking, this will be fun.
Yeah.
But it's such an obvious next step. Well, hang on a minute. What are we implying? There's nothing special about him at all. But if Glenn McCoy didn't think of that, surely somebody...
Yeah.
Well...
So Giles, you mentioned that there was a sort of Harry Sullivan quality to Herbert, and I was thinking something similar. But the difference, I think, for me is that even in his first appearance, Ian Marter sort of gives some kind of a depth to the character, and it feels like Herbert is so very surface the whole time that it grates with me anyway. It grates a bit from that point of view. That
I just don't like the actor for one thing. That really
okay.
rubs me up the wrong way.
Hmm.
I just want to slap him around, push him in the Timelash.
I mean, the other thing with that light, so the Doctor is projecting himself in a different part of the room, and really all he has to do with that is to delay the light in order to make it work. But then he comes up with some complicated explanation of how he's projecting himself 10 seconds into the future, and you think, no, I mean that's completely unnecessary. You've just made it far more complicated than it needs to be.
And why does he? Yeah. So when he does it, so when he finally uses it in the Borad room, in the boardroom, in the Borad's boardroom,
yeah,
he's still standing there when the Borad shoots him, and then he steps out of the way of the laser after he's been shot. He should be dead.
I thought someone said this was watertight. The logic. And the only other use they get out of his magic time crystal thing is sending an android, burning android back,
which is kind of odd because they quite happily shoot all the guards.
Yes, which is, I mean, it's dull. They come across if you're going to use that plot device, use to explain something bigger, memorably inexplicable. In part one, not just something that was not particularly inexplicable. Oh, where did that come from? They say, but it's who cares? Nobody's going to remember. Where did that burning android come from? Are they? Did you? No, because you sent it before.
I did, but only because I watched it all in rapid succession, in one go.
I did quite like. I mean, in principle, a lot of this has potential, like the Doctor being all heroic and assembling a thing using his brain to cunningly extract themselves from this room. But also it falls down because ultimately it just functions as a weapon. One of many occasions where the Doctor just happily murders someone. But
why does
it's dressed up as it's not really a gun because he fires his own energy back at him. So the fact that he just stands there with a laser and vaporizes the Borad because the Borad shot him, but it's framed in such a way that it's sort of hoist by his own petard. But yeah, there's bits of this that kind of feel like they could work, but don't. But also, I think this is written. I think you were sort of saying this before, Paul. This is like what someone who doesn't watch Doctor Who thinks Doctor Who is.
Yeah.
And I think also that if a non-fan who thought Doctor Who was terrible walked in on Timelash, it's exactly what they think all Doctor Who is like.
Yeah, it's only one step away from being like a sketch show parody.
Exactly.
Saunders thing. The design of the android, if you squint, we know that it's unusual and has some charm because it's odd. But everyone else will just look at it and think that's cheap and
he's doing the robot to produce the illusion that he's a robot.
Yeah, but I mean, in 1985, I think that was relatively novel.
I also quite liked, again, in terms of potential, the voice, it's kind of a nice idea, and it's sort of got original Cyberman vibes.
Yes.
But like the original Cybermen, is also a bit awkward to listen to, but I think it's probably a bit worse than the original Cybermen. It's not cool to say the original Cybermen voices are bad anymore. You got to just be on the revisionist bandwagon and say, "Oh, they're so creepy."
Hail the sing-song
I never
voice
thought they were terrible.
Sing-song voices.
Listeners, that was Paul doing the voice. In case anyone just thought we'd played in a clip from the Planet.
Yeah.
It's a bit unfortunate that this came along just straight after the hiatus. So anyone who wanted to tune in to see what Michael Grade was winging on about
that
Doctor Who having
violence.
gone off the boil,
Yeah.
found themselves watching this.
Yikes.
Was there a story a few weeks on a previous podcast, not that long ago, which I thought was awful, and I was just complaining about you haven't made me watch it, and I just hated it. And what was the last time we did a really bad story? Because I feel like, because I thought whatever it was, this was even worse, and I felt all those emotions all over again.
Could it have been the Ultimate Foe? Maybe, I don't know.
Oh no, that's not a.
But the last time we did a story that we all liked, none of us had anything to say. We just all sat looking at each other, thinking, "Well, that was an enjoyable 90 minutes of Doctor Who."
I thought I was going to have nothing to say because I thought this was so bad that I just thought it was dog shit. I just ultimately think it's about nothing, apart from the fact that all the elements, all the individual parts, are badly done. Take a step back from that. And I think that's the most. You say it's not boring. You might well be right. There are more boring stories. You know, it's not the Space Museum, I guess.
I love the Space Museum.
That's also got. I like. Oh, sorry, I like the Space Museum as well, but it's also boring.
That's got rebels in.
I know. It's got rebels and time travel.
We should have done this.
Okay, well, so let's talk about.
But I think it was. Oh no, do we have to?
Go on.
The rebels.
Well, the rebels, right? So what are these rebels? And so here's the thing, right?
Move me greenhouse.
So Perry is given a piece of paper that says Cezanne at the Falchion Rocks, right?
Yeah.
Which is,
it's such a Star Trek where they just kept saying
when the walls fell.
It's potentially quite an interesting mystery in the story, maybe. But the problem is, what's she supposed to do with that? I mean, how's she going to find out where the Falchion Rocks are, who Cezanne is, or whatever?
The Falchion Rocks.
But
you keep saying it.
But the thing is, right? I mean, all that can happen here is that she betrays them because in asking too many questions, or by dropping the piece of paper, which is what she eventually does. And then when she does turn up and meets Cezanne, he's on the point of shooting her because he's got no idea she's turning up. So nobody's told. So was the person who gave it to her just thought, well, she looks like she might be a good rebel? Or I don't know. I just don't understand what.
Gav will tell you what.
Who are they rebelling from? What are they?
They're rebelling against the Borads.
Yeah.
Because they're just as violent as the Borads.
Why are they hanging out of those rocks?
But the Borad has instigated interplanetary war and is withholding the grain from the Bandrils.
Dick and Ashworth, if that be his name, is very trigger happy.
Yeah. So here's another question then, right? So he's withholding the grain from the Bandril, right? Mm-hmm. But we also establish that all of the plants come from the Bandril planet. So what's happened? Have they just sort of forgotten how to grow them or something?
Well, the plants that are on Carfel, the only one that it's explained to us shoots venom in your face. So presumably they're not edible plants; they're just decorative. Right. So they can't farm these plants. Yeah. Next question.
The only thing I came up with was that the Bandrils are carnivores, but that's not going to work if it's grain that he's withholding from them. I don't know.
Maybe the weevils.
But then the only exterior shot we get of the citadel or whatever you call it appears to be. It looks like it's a wilderness planet with no.
It doesn't exactly look like a leisure hive or something.
Agricultural paradise or anything like that.
Anyway, he's nicked the grain and he's got it, and he's not giving it to them. So I guess that's just how it is.
I suppose is that Cezanne that Dick in Ashworth, the professional northerner plays. I mean, that's one of the other unintentionally interesting things about the story that they cast. Everyone else is doing their upper middle class nonsense, and he comes in. Yeah, I just noticed he was in Brookside in the early days playing a character called Alan Partridge. That's fun. I mean, for me, he will.
Really now, okay.
Wow.
To me, he will forever be Jeff Horton from Coronation Street, one of Coronation Street's delightful semi-regular characters. He was what was her name? Anyway, Tommy Duckworth's. No, not Tommy. Terry Duckworth's occasional squeeze. And she died, but she left behind her son. It's a soap opera, Richard. He left behind their son, Tommy Duckworth. And the Hortons, the parents, used to come in and cause trouble for Terry every few years for the next quarter century. It's delightful stuff. And he gave much the same performance, I think, when he was on the cobbles as he does here. We saw him in Inspector Morse the other day. And it was the same performance, but it stuck out just as much in Oxford as it would do on Carful.
Yeah.
Hooray for him.
They're remarkably well informed as well, the rebels, because despite the fact they're hanging out at the rocks, they know exactly who the new Malin is.
Sorry, which rocks is that? Are they?
I think they're called the Falchion rocks.
The what, sorry?
Yeah, so fundamentally, they're right up with the fact that there's been a change of in power, even though it's only happened about 20 minutes ago.
They're all on Telegram.
Yeah, it's almost like it's just... it's almost like it's not real, isn't it? It's almost like it's just a child playing with some toys and everything.
I think at the other end of the...
Go on.
No!
I was just going to say, at the other end of the spectrum from old Dick and Ashworth, we have Tracy Louise Ward, who's now the Duchess of Beaufort, no less. And
fantastic.
So in terms of your in terms of your posh actors, you don't get much posher than that.
Yes. I'm going to come back to my point, but I won't go on about it. I feel no, I won't. This time I won't. This time, have I ever led you astray? I do think it's about nothing. I was thinking that till Herbert appeared, and then I suddenly remembered that strand of the plot and thought, well, hang on, it's got loads of ideas in, and yet it comes full circle at the end, and it's stuffed full of individual ideas and incident, but it's about nothing. The only thing it's about is the hilarious high concept. Let's explain where the genius writer got all of his ideas from wholesale.
That's the problem, isn't it?
The rest of the story is about nothing. It's just cardboard Doctor Who.
Yeah, it doesn't have a theme. It has an idea. The concept is this is how H.G. Wells gets all his ideas. And as a story, that's awful. As an idea, that's a wheeze. I
mean, you could do a very interesting, maybe not meta, but deconstruction of that idea where it's deliberate that the Doctor Who story layer is meaningless because you're telling a story about how that influences something else. But this isn't that, is it? I haven't quite fleshed that idea out.
It's like, I mean, it has as much value as the Doctor taking H.G. Wells to a VR planet, and H.G. Wells plays 6 computer games in a row, and each one inspires him to write one of his books, and then they leave. There's no meat to it's each of these ideas roughly threaded together.
So as for the Carful plot, is it Carful? I always said Carfel, but I know everyone's saying Carful, so I just...
They don't mind.
Okay. Tom Baker wasn't. The Carfellans. The
Carfel.
Yes, the Doctor Who Carfel story is just... Do you think it's less interesting than the Space Museum Rebels story? You seem to prefer the Space Museum. I mean, in terms of things it reminds me of, for example, because having just asked you a question, I'm going to rudely put you on pause. I mean, it's also Macroterror-esque because of the...
Oh, you stole one of my notes.
Well, sorry. Because the face on the screen, but much, much, much less interesting.
It's not just face on the screen. You got monsters in the tunnels that react to the gas. The face on the screen is a false identity.
But the Macroterror is about something, and this isn't, I think. Do you think the Space Museum... I'm just trying to work out whether, watertight though the plot is, we were justified in, and entertaining as it may be in parts, I don't know.
I think it has the same...
in marking it down for being empty.
Yeah, it has the same problem as the Space Museum, is that the concept... It tees up the concept in an exciting way, and then the rest of the story can't live up to what we're presented with. Because, yeah, the Space Museum is rebels and overthrow, and that is the kind of thing that somebody who doesn't watch Doctor Who thinks Doctor Who's like. But the Space Museum, in its defence, happens at the dawn of the show, so Doctor Who can still dip in and out of things and see what works, and things that become cliches are not as cliched at the dawn of time.
So there is no excuse to be doing this 22 years in.
No.
But they just couldn't get the scripts, you see. It's a very hard program to
I
for.
don't
and
think
all the best writers were hooed out by this point, you see.
I don't think Eric Saywood would know a good script if it hit him. The only sort of thing you can say against that is that he did write some quite good ones at the start, but it just doesn't seem to have. When it comes to other people's scripts, he doesn't seem to have much instinct for it, does he?
I think, like Bidmed, Christopher H. Bidmed, he breaks his own rules. Bidmed had strictures when he was editing other people's scripts, particularly about comedy, cutting all the jokes out of other people's scripts and then filling his own stories with jokes. And Saywood's the same. I was thinking about this. So many of the stories in 22, the Doctor takes half an hour to get into the main plot for some reason, because he's decided it must be structured differently. And yet he doesn't do that with Attack of the Cybermen, I don't think, does he? I know he does with Revelation, but I mean, I'm trying.
They spend ages in space looking at Halley's Comet. And things
Oh, do they?
Start.
Oh, I've never seen it. I've never seen it. I hate.
there was a bit of mucking about an Earth shock as well, thinking about it in the TARDIS.
Okay. He likes the TARDIS, doesn't he? Good place for an argument.
Yeah.
This isn't arguments. This is abuse. It actually is, isn't it? It's abuse.
Well, I was going to say, it's another theme of this story is misogyny, because basically all the women, but particularly Perry, get a pretty poor time of it.
I think it might be one of the worst stories for a companion ever. She just, again, it's all the things that people who don't watch Doctor Who think that the companions do, get tied up and scream.
But also completely disregarded, and he'd rather have Herbert alongside him than Perry most of the time.
Yeah, well, this is the classic case of Wright having created a guest character who is so rich and three-dimensional, and you just want to spend all your time with them. So
there's one line where she pushes back on something to the Doctor, and his line back to her is basically, "You're as irritating as the one other woman that I know." It's just so. He's awful in this. He's really awful in this. The Doctor.
Is it? Yeah, is it his worst? I don't know. I
was wondering that. I don't know how you scientifically measure it, but
Twin Dilemma is a kind of outlier. I personally think that's the worst, but it's written.
But he's meant to be, because he's brand. Yeah, and then in the final scene, you're meant to go, "Oh, he can be nice. Everything's going to be fine."
I allow myself to. I'm going to allow myself to be very rude about them both, because obviously we all love Colin and Nicola. We all know them because we're not ordinary fans like you out there listening. We're professional fans. We know them. We
speak for yourself.
Go for curries with them, and you invite Eve Miles along. But and of course, more to the point, they've both been very good on Big Finish. Colin in particular, obviously. They both improve but it's not just the 25 years later on Big Finish that they. Colin completely reinventing the character, completely changing it to something else, is a good trick, and means that I feel I can, go to town on just how misguided he was here to play up the problems of the scripts rather than to try and fight against them. Yeah, there are loads of lines where none of them are funny and none of the banter would work, but it doesn't get any better when you do it louder or more violently. Bad. And Perry's whining.
Bad.
Yeah.
Bad.
It's the rule of threes. If you shout "bad" the third time, that makes it funny. Yeah.
It worked really well the first time he did it, so that's why they wrote it into every other story. Why is Perry so whiny? The thing is, it's like the energy she has in the scenes where she's being attacked by giant dick monsters and tied up and lusted over. She carries through all the other scenes when she's supposed to be having a nice time. So even when nothing's going wrong, she says all her lines as if she's afraid or pissed off, and there's a tremor in the voice which makes it unpleasant to listen to. Doctor, surely we can. That's Larry the Lamb.
And she just sort of hates her life, her whole experience, complains all the way through that TARDIS scene. But then there's a really uncomfortable bit where he says, well, I'll take you back to Earth then. And she panics. And it's like, it's such an unhealthy relationship. She's like, she hates it here, but it's worse if she goes home. So she'll stay in this awful prison with this man who shouts at her. It's so weird.
Yeah.
And they do an entire series of this, and then a slightly longer break, and when they come back, they've abandoned all of that. They've turned into Spoons and Ace tweaking each other's noses and being all, "Ooh, shall we go explore? Shall we? So, yeah, they knew they'd got it wrong, but why on earth didn't they think? Why doesn't it gradually improve during the series? Never mind. But it is. I mean, it casts a pall. This is my least favourite season, and it casts a pall over the entire season. So the story is good or bad, all suffer in my.
So doesn't Revelation sort of soften it a bit?
I think so. Yes. I don't remember finding
it's
them
not,
annoying.
Not a favourite story, but yeah.
It's a weird joke about a broken watch, but apart from that, I think they work quite nicely. But that would just be an example of Saywood knowing what he wants to do, being more competent on his own script than he is with other people's. It's odd.
Yeah, you're quite right, by the way, Paul, about the drop scripts, because it was the fact they'd lost the space whale from this series at specifically late in the day after presumably having forked out for it, and that was why there was a budget issue that they'd already.
Is that the one where it goes back through time and ends up as the Loch Ness Monster? That was a good one. All of Pat, was it Pat Mills?
Yes,
all of his Big Finish scripts were spot on. He'll be glad to hear me say that. What?
So I'd forgotten the Borad comes back.
Yeah,
at the end.
Well, yes,
that's a shock twist every time.
But again,
somehow Borad has returned.
That's right. Yeah.
Cloning, yeah.
But
so it turns out that he can just self-replicate. So he's all tied up with this idea of creating a mutated mate, which is Mary Shelley getting her ideas, not H.G. Wells. But he didn't need to turn Perry into a snake monster because he can just clone himself.
Well, McCoy allegedly picked up on this, and McCoy apparently had written in some line about surely the bride knew before the twist that he had cloned himself. It says, according to the Shannon Sullivan, it says bizarrely towards the end of the serial, McCoy had the bride reject his desire to mate with Perry because he could now create as many clones of himself as he wished, and say would cut that out entirely. So, but then I can't remember the details from the. But I think the whole Boyd Perry thing is Saywood raising the plot cupboard and at a minimum giving McCoy ideas for how to fill this thing after various other bits have been cut out on various edicts.
And yet he was taking ideas
and saying, well, here's Andrew, that worked in Androzani, let's do,
and Vengeance on Varos. That's the other stupid thing at season 22. It borrows so much from itself. We've got the famously the villain cloning himself and the fake out death here and in the next story with Davros. We've got Perry threatened to being turned into another creature, lusted after by aliens here, and two doctors and Varos. And there's more. I promise you.
3 lots of Enter Rebels because in this series alone, because you've got Jason Connery and you've got you've got running around rebel type people in Varos and in Revelation. Although I guess because it's she's looking for her dad, that's a little bit better motivated in Revelation.
Well, Saywood almost has the opposite problem. He can think up lots and lots of memorable characters, but he can't. He thinks up so many for each story that he can't thread them all in satisfactorily. So in both. I mean, you've got famously in Attack of the Sidemen, those characters that never meet They come into it, they never meet anybody else, and then they die, and they've contributed nothing, less than Indiana Jones would have done. So it's...
He's got quite an amazing bit of rationalisation when he's interviewed about that, and he basically says, well, sometimes things come to nothing, don't they, in life? You try something and it doesn't work out, so...
Yeah, and that's
it's
famously,
the futility.
Famously, that's what all the best dramas have.
Famously, drama and screenwriting is
That's the one aspect of the human experience.
Take that, Aristotle, and your poets.
Funnily enough, I said yesterday.
The original draft of Hamlet.
I pitched the idea of a detective show where a bunch of people sit round and they fail to solve a mystery every week. At the end, they get down to about half a dozen suspects and they just can't do it, and that's the end. Saywood would love that, because that's what happens sometimes in life.
Yeah.
I tell you what, that ending, because I was thinking, it reminded me. So when the Doctor is sort of lecturing at the Borad, it reminded me of Remembrance of the Daleks, where the Doctor talks the Silver and Black Dalek to death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and he says, you got no reinforcements, no backup, useless, and it explodes for some reason.
Yeah,
but it's so mad
compute.
that in this the Doctor's lecture, he's saying you're so ugly no one's ever going to kiss you, so you might as well just sod off and die. And then he shoves him down a time hole. It's mad. Can you imagine a new series episode now where the moral of the story is that if you're ugly, you're evil and you deserve to die, deserve to die alone? Get stuff. You go into Loch Ness, mate.
That'd be great. We need more of that to counterbalance all this wokeness. Two-legged Davros.
I can't work out whether... I think it's meant to be self-aware when Perry says, don't I get a say in this? And the Doctor says no. But given the context of the entire scene, it does not come across as self-aware. It comes across as like just making sure that she blooming well knows her place, and the Doctor will decide whether she has to kiss the giant snake, if you pardon the expression.
I couldn't... this may be explained, because I wasn't paying attention, but I
can explain the plot.
I was wondering why he was called the Borad. If it was a title, fair enough, like we're going to see the Emperor, we're going to see the Wizard. But the Borad, and this may just be because I know where it's going, suggests me that he's a thing, not a person. They don't call him Borad, so they don't think it's a name.
His name is Magellan.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but nobody knows
to
that.
Me.
But it's another one of those implausible things that he's appeared from nowhere. Nobody knows he's the scientist Magellan, and yet he's managed to assume leadership. How did all that happen? Do we find out? And anyway, don't they think it's where did this dictator come from? And B, why is he called the Borad? That's a bit weird.
Everyone
they think
thinks he looks
Professor
like Professor
Chronotis, though,
Chronotis.
don't they?
I tell you what, that's why there's androids in this. I realised that they've got one blue android in it, so that when Chronotis is revealed to be an android, you don't go, oh, blimey, this society's got androids. But what it does make you think is, why have they got blue androids, but they can make perfectly good prophetic Chronotis ones that you don't think look really weird?
And why does the keeper of Traken not talk like... Oh, I've gone into a sideman now.
Yes.
It's actually much more... It should be much more easy to reproduce the android, but it is...
The third Doctor turns up in this.
Yes.
And I was struggling around to understand why, and then it occurred to me that it's a nostalgia season, isn't it? Because we've had the second Doctor, we got fellow Time Lord lady, we got the Rani,
10th Planet Part 2,
10th, yeah, Attack of the Cybernetics, Totter's Yard, all of that,
and Tomb of the
Malarkey.
Cybermen Part 2,
and the Invasion.
So yeah, it's all backward looking to win Michael Grade over, I guess. But it's a really odd. I mean, it's a show-stopping moment, but not for the right reasons. But I think weirder than the painting behind the wall. How did the Doctor know the painting was there? How did the Doctor know there was a mirror behind the painting? All of those questions, but also. why did the Doctor give that woman's grandfather a lock of Joe Grant's hair in a publicity photo in a locket? That is a very odd turn of events.
Yeah.
Answers on a postcard.
Yeah, well, initially it was going to be the first Doctor and Susan.
You see, that would make more sense because it would explain that there's only two of you.
A lock of Susan's hair.
That I don't know whether that was in
A 15-year-old's hair.
Yes, but also, yeah, where is there's only two of you thing come from? Because there would either have been, if Ian and Barbara were along for the ride, then there'd have been four of them.
Yeah.
Or two, so who was travelling with the Doctor and Joe?
Is it set
Doctor and Joe
within?
I'm not saying this is the one thing that makes it all fall apart. But
it's set within the three Doctors.
Right.
So that it's actually Benton.
Yeah.
Benton.
Well.
Well.
Bandrill's pretty funny.
The other thing that people always say is one of the worst things about this story. They say, "Oh, the Bandrill is a puppet." I mean, of all the things you could complain about, I quite like the Bandrill.
Yeah.
Because it's not a bloke in a mask. Why we should be? I mean, there should be more puppets.
If it is true what you say, I like the bit where
he's the only one who does talk colloquially. The one you might expect to be doing all the cod Shakespeare, and he does. What's the word? He does.
Can you prove you're a Time Lord? No. Okay.
Yeah.
We've overthrown the Borad. Please do not nuke the planet. Can you show us the corpse? It might be tricky. And he just hangs up on him.
Yeah.
The Doctor says, "Oh, that might be a bit tricky."
Yeah.
"Oh, well, never mind. We'll nuke you. Bye." And he just hangs up. And he looks really sad.
Yeah.
I love that bit. That's my favourite bit.
It's just as well they only have one missile, though, I suppose.
That's true. They put all their grain in one big clump. So, what is it? What do you call it? A neutron bomb? Olivia neutron bomb. And
isn't it Bendelip's warhead or something?
Is that not going to destroy the grain?
Well,
just life.
Yeah, but it won't kill the Morlocks, apparently.
It won't kill the Morlocks and it won't vaporise the grain. So after they've nuked the planet, they can then go in with radiation suits on, scoop up the grain, and then take it back home and cure their famine. And everyone lives happily ever after.
Some of you H.G. Wells experts have given some context to the things this story rips off. Now, are the Morlocks anything like that in the what's it called?
Time Machine.
The Time Machine.
No, they're a sort of retrograde human
that's what I
race.
Thought. Sort of humanoid.
It's just the name. It's just the name.
Oh, you couldn't even think up names
it's
now.
Just a load of old Morlocks.
What a moron.
A Morlockson. A Morlong. A Morlock.
Okay. That's what I thought.
And Elvina is also that's the name of the Eloi girl in Time Machine.
Are there any references to the history of Mr. Polly?
Not well,
Oh, shame.
He came up with that one on his own.
That would cut across the fact that he was a posh boy because he'd need to have worked in a shop, wouldn't he? I did see the Bandrill in Blackpool back in the 80s.
Wow.
Just wandering about.
Yeah, well, no, it was actually in the Doctor's
Did you get his
exhibition.
autograph?
Yeah, well, it would be.
Yeah.
Probably want to see if they're representing his species faithfully.
Yeah.
Did he go up the tower? Or
No.
buy some candy floss?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Get hit by a tram?
Rode a donkey, play the slots,
another
that kind of thing.
Isn't that Coronation? And you go back to Coronation Street again.
Did it? Yeah. Did it look good, or had it perished? Had the rubber perished?
No, it looked fine. It was probably about 1986, so it wasn't very long after.
I have to warn you then that I have popped out.
So, is there anything else we can add to this? I mean,
I
feel
want
like,
to say
yes,
that the very first TARDIS console design by Peter Brochatsky
Yes.
for Doctor Who in 1963, had little hand holders so that they could grasp the edge of the console for the bumpy journey, predating the seatbelts for the Contron tunnel.
Ooh, very nice.
That is my fact for you.
So
I also want to ask our resident astrologist, Giles, if you're in a time machine in space, in unknown quarters of the universe, how useful is a map of the night sky bought from W.H. Smith on Earth?
Yes, I did notice that. I'm pretty sure I had that on my wall as a teenager, that poster. And, the only other thing I have to offer is that apparently the noted thesp Geraldine James, there's fresh off the back of being BAFTA nominated for Julian and the Crown, was apparently offered the role of Vina, and JNT was apparently somewhat miffed that she turned it down.
That's what happens when you send them the script.
But he wasn't undaunted. He then aimed even higher. The next story with Laurence Olivier for The Mutant. I think Geraldine James was in that same morse that Dick and Ashworth were in. So at least they finally got to work together.
Went together.
And apparently
who directed it?
What?
Oh, don't know.
No,
I want to know now.
Gav?
One of my notes says that the drinks are on fire, which I'd never noticed before.
Yeah.
When the goblets of wine or whatever are offered round, they're on fire. They're like when you set fire to a whiskey.
Yes.
So they must be quite alcoholic or whatever else they drink.
Yes. Yeah.
Colin Gregg.
Volatile, anyway.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Never heard of it.
Name to conjure with. Yeah.
What a cast! Everyone should go off and watch Who Killed Harry Field, episode series 6.2 of Morse. It's got John Thor in it. Ronnie Pickup.
Does
Freddie
it have a
Jones.
watertight plot?
I feel like I kind of need to get a cup of tea and boil myself up for the next bit. Gav's had enough by the look of it.
Rebel, rebel.
If we decide that we've had enough with this one, we'll take a 5-minute break and then come back and talk about Tutheran.
Did you know that there's an amusing anagram you can make out of Timelash? That's the only other. I'm not going to tell you. Make it a quiz. Make it a quiz.
It's going to be another. It's a quiz for readers.
For the,
It
describes many people's opinion of the story.
All right.
4,4.
Yeah.
And on that bombshell,
I've got the second Thor. I'm not quite sure what the first one is, but I'll work it out as I'm making a cup of tea.
Wow.
And for those of you in podcast land, that's the end of part 1.
Bye then.
Oh, hang on. Whoops. Hello.
No, I don't like the sound of that.
No.
40 minutes.
Luckily, I spotted it before we.
Bodger loves.
Spotted it before we started in earnest. It was doing one of those things where it starts and loops.
Mashed potato.
Quick time.
Mashed potatoes.
Bodger and Badger. Bodger and Badger.
I've lost my little sponge on the end of the microphone.
Bodger and Badger are never far away. Does that mean they're never far away from each other, or they're never far away from us?
From us.
Which is quite
from us.
Quite from
you're
you.
never
like stalking.
You're never more than 6
individual-
feet from Bodger and or Badger.
Well, see, it made sense that they're never far away from each other because they are somewhat connected.
Yes. Right, it's recording, and now.
Were you going to play Bodger and Badger on the uke there, Richard?
Well, I mean, I toyed with it, but I don't really know it, to be honest.
Do rhubarb and custard.
That doesn't usually stop you.
Get me a kazoo.
Oh, what did you sing on the last podcast, Giles? I've forgotten.
Oh, God, did I?
Yeah.
Can't remember.
Was it rhubarb and custard?
Oh, Lord.
I've lost my kazoo.
It's not the first time you've sung on this podcast. We should do a little compilation.
I can't remember singing on this last podcast.
Giles sings.
Yeah, on the last one.
What was it? You know all of this is going in the outtakes at the end. Don't encourage me. Do you remember the less popular theme?
Oh, no.
No.
What's the other one? How does it go? Oh, I can't remember.
What was it, tried and discarded or something? I mean, you speak as if you were actually alive when it was on.
Oh, I was?
Oh, come on. But Rhubarb and Custard, it was 70s for sure.
It was definitely repeated in my youth.
I'm sure they repeated it.
I don't think I've got the. Oh no, none of my audio is working. I could probably play it on my.
However, if you'd ever seen All Aboard the Skylark, then I really would be surprised.
Oh.
Oh, Lord. No, Nelly.
Yep.
Huh.
No.
What did that sound like? What was the... Yeah.
All Aboard the Skylark!
Yes. Oh, it was all purpley, wasn't it? Yeah, forgot that.
I tell you what, let's try and record a podcast. Are we all recording audio now?
Yeah.
I am.
Gosh.